Hi, everyone. Welcome to today's webinar, where we'll be discussing how to streamline the field data collection process using Ecotrope's inspection sync feature, as well as EnergyLogic's Dash tool. Today, Ecotrope's product manager will be leading the presentation, and we're thrilled to be joined by Jackson Chaney, a senior energy rater, as well as Jackson Hindman, as Sam Chaney, a senior energy rater, and Jackson Hindman, information intelligence support manager at EnergyLogic. So Sam and Jackson will share their insight on how they utilize Inspection Sync and share some information about Dash, the company's comprehensive field service management and inspection app built by HERS raters for HERS raters. So today, the agenda for today's webinar is as follows. So David will go over what Inspection Sync is and how it works. And then Jackson will talk about the Dash tool and share a brief demo of that. And then after that, David will ask Jackson and Sam some questions around how they leverage both tools and how they use it to speed up the field data collection process and just kind of how that's been working for their organization. Then we'll open up the questions from the audience. So please feel free to submit your questions throughout the presentation and we'll do our best to answer them all at the end. So yeah, with that, I'll hand it over to David Pedrick.
All right, thanks, Sarah. This is a really exciting webinar today. We're always privileged and honored to have our Dash colleagues here, and everybody, I think everybody probably knows EnergyLogic, and Dash is the tool that EnergyLogic has built to help them manage their business, and they also have that available for any other rating company out there in the market as well. So they're always good to work with them, leading the industry, helping other people out, like we try to do as well. So today, pretty cool. We have 74 people on the webinar right now, and I think over 120 people registered for the webinar as well. So there seems to be quite a bit of interest in learning how Dash and Inspection Sync work together, and more generally how Ekotrope and Dash work together. I can add that you may have seen in the annual survey that we sent out that right now about 60% of all of the HERS ratings completed in the country are either completed by companies that are currently implementing Inspection Sync or already have implemented Inspection Sync. And so, EnergyLogic is part of that number as well. So we're excited that we can help show how Dash has implemented this because it's a kind of minimal effort product to start using the Ecotrope API and Inspection Sync. So we're happy to start off here and share this process and talk to some people who have real life experience using both of these tools. So what is Inspection Sync? Inspection Sync is mostly a piece of computer infrastructure that allows you to send inspection data from your inspection app directly to the energy model that is the representation of the home that you were inspecting. So this means that with Ecotrope API and the Inspection Sync tool, you can connect your field service management tool like Dash to your inspection app like Dash and bring it full circle and send that data back to Ekotrope. So we'll talk to Sam a little bit about how he does this, and ultimately what we think it allows people to do is have quick and efficient field data transcription, saving anywhere from 5 to 25 minutes per energy model with data entry, which means fewer opportunities for errors because you're sending the exact data that you recorded in your inspection app straight to the Ekotrope energy model, and hopefully it eliminates some data entry bottleneck. We know that this is, some companies have piles and piles of inspection data they're trying to type in into Ekotrope, and that all takes time. So this should help eliminate it. It does that by automatically updating your energy model with that inspection data. It also has some kind of enhanced mechanical equipment ID-based matching and searching. So if you enter in the mechanical system model number into an inspection app, we will search a little bit more comprehensively in Ekotrope to try and find that mechanical system. You can also control the types of updates, the types of data, and the types of components that your field staff can create when you send data using Inspection Sync. And finally, you can update all of your inspections at once. So at the end of the day, you've done 20 inspections, you can update those all in one go. And we'll learn a little bit more about how Sam does this in the field here in a little bit. So at this point, I'm going to hand it off to Jackson so he can show you what Dash looks like, what the Dash workflow is with Ekotrope. And we're excited to have Dash here again because they are one of the first kind of commercial inspection and field service management apps that have fully integrated. And they're helping lead the way there, and turn over to Jackson from here.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you, David. And thank you, everybody, for joining us here. I am very excited to show what we have worked out here for our in-sync integration, inspection sync integration with Dash. Let me share my screen real quick. And I think I saw we have some Dash users, some current Dash users out in the audience currently. So for those who don't know, Dash is EnergyLogic's sort of long-time inspection management software, job management software. We started working on it almost, 12 or is it more like 15? 2006, I'm being told. So it's come a really long way since then. As Sarah mentioned, we do believe it's sort of designed by HERS raters much more than other software products, can be more focused on just data entry and miss a lot of the day-to-day rater use. A big part of that for us is, being a full rating company and being able to test these things out in the field. Sam here is our rater liaison. So he's a rater every other day of the week, except on our team days today. And then he's here to help us inform our decisions on what exactly Dash needs to do. Just when I'm saying that Dash is the job management software, that means that it manages everything from adding jobs when a builder calls it in for an inspection from the get-go, scheduling service visits like our final inspections here on our schedule, billing those services once they have been completed, and invoicing straight into QuickBooks from there, and sending comprehensive inspection reports to supers and other employees for your clients. We have these, there we go. We have inspection reports that you can generate custom for each job that you're on. Custom as in it's showing me the exact items that are failing on that address, giving photo guides to the supers to help them track down those fixes and get the house passing. And this is really Dash's deliverable. That makes it really a worthwhile thing for us to put our inspection data into Dash first and then move it into Ekotrope for modeling purposes. I can go ahead and show how that works now. So if I was a rater here and I wanted to get started on this final inspection, I'm going to jump straight to my inspections page from my daily schedule. As I said, this house has already had a rough inspection done or a pre-drywall inspection done. The important thing to note here is that I have noted a house orientation that is westward facing, as well as the floors above grade. Anywhere you see this little icon means that this is one of the fields that will sync into Ekotrope through the inspection sync when I do that process. So going back to the inspections list here, I'm going to establish our link to Ekotrope. So as I said, current users of Dash might already be familiar with this process. This is the API connection that we've utilized with Ekotrope for many years. Basically, it is searching for the worst case model or the modeled template home of the plan that is assigned to the job in Dash. So you can see we have demo model 1 in this Ekotrope template here, and that matches the model that is selected here in Dash, demo model 1. So when I click this add update project button, Dash is going to search through my Ekotrope library and return those templates, any templates that have that name in their naming convention there. Clicking on the plus button will then establish a new site-specific Ekotrope model from that template, which I can show you here. The important thing to note right now, oh, excuse me, I clicked on the wrong place. It has copied the same northern orientation that was in the template job. So currently that is set to what it was for the worst case scenario. At this point, I can create a final inspection in Dash. Now I have a final created and I have an Ekotrope project created, and I want to establish the inspection link between the two before I start putting any data into my inspection form. I like to equate this with people to doing a plumbing job. You need to hook up the pipe to both places before the water flows through, or it's going to be very messy. At this point, the job is completely linked, and I can go through and start filling out my inspection. Again, we've got fields specifically marked here that show what is syncing. One thing to note is right after creating that link through inspection sync, it has pulled all of my window values that were in the modeled template into Dash. So I can verify those and make any changes as needed. And in a similar fashion, if I go back to Ekotrope here and reload my project, it always takes a little longer when we're screen sharing. Okay. Oh, I clicked it. Sorry. Excuse me for one moment. I am not sure why that should be updated to west. I probably did something wrong.
Well,
normally.
Jackson,
Oh, go ahead.
The original template faced north, right?
That's correct.
And then you copied the template, and so the copy has all the same values as the
yes.
template, other than the project info. But then when you use the inspection sync into that new version, it'll update the orientation. So I think you're still on the right.
Forgetting is that it updates the orientation at the final step here. So my apologies for that confusion. We are still getting our feet wet in this. You know, we've had it launched to our field staff for full testing for about a month now, and it's going very well. But definitely a lot to learn. Anyways, at this point, like I said, the link is established. My window values have been pulled in from Ekotrope, and it should be easy to fill out my inspection and make sure that I'm filling in all of the fields that sync over to Ekotrope. I have a job here with an inspection already filled out. I won't bore you all with having to watch me do that. So now I can show you the final step here. So assuming that this final is done, I'm going to click this Create JSON File button. That'll give me a download icon to use here. And this file is what will push all of my data from Dash into the Ekotrope project here at the end. So Again, sorry, I need to see if I can move this panel of controls. Sorry, Zoom problems. Going back into Ekotrope now for the final step, I'm going to go down into batch actions and select upload inspection sync JSON. Now, you can do this, obviously, it says 100 files at a time. So this can be something you do at the end of the day for all of your jobs from that day. I'm going to select the JSON I just created and open it. It will process, and hopefully I get a nice green bubble down here that says your inspection sync data has processed completely. Sometimes if there are inconsistencies between the entered data in the inspection form and what is existing in your Ekotrope component library, you will get error messages there. That's a yellow box or a red box, depending on the severity. And you can see those details in your email. Whatever email is associated with your Ekotrope account will get a summary of those errors. At that point, I can go back into this job that I just did the import for. It's created a new building design with inspection data. And clicking into that, we should see now it's updated my orientation. My mistake, everyone. Sorry about that. I also have my windows. I have appliance information that pulled in from the appliance section in Dash. And really at this point, our field people just go through each section, spot check what imported, fill out whatever other items are necessary. And at that point, we're ready to finish the inspection. That's the inspection sync process between Dash and Ekotrope.
Great, thanks, Jackson.
No problem.
So we're going to transition to some kind of questions about kind of how Sam experiences this, and Jackson, you can pipe in here as well. And if anybody on the call has questions, feel free to type it in the chat. I already see that we do have one question specifically about Dash, and I'm just going to kind of clear that out of the way to start off with. Is there a Dash app for phones or tablets, or is it all browser-based?
It is all browser-based. Currently, we do have phone-friendly formatting on the web version when you're looking at like your daily schedule or the inspection forms. You know, all of our raters out in the field like to do their rough inspections on their iPhones. So it's definitely phone-friendly, but it is not an offline app currently.
Gotcha. So Sam, you're primarily a HERS rater, field inspector. You go out into the field every day, it sounds like. Can you tell me a little bit more about kind of what your roles and responsibilities are at EnergyLogic?
So as a rater, I check my schedule the night before. That's when like they're finalized the night before. Just kind of, I'll either, if I have roughs or finals, I'll make, nowadays I do the links for my finals the night before. I'll do the square footage and all that stuff for the ductless if I have those, and then wake up in the morning, go to each job site, depending where they are. There could be a lot of drive time, there could not be, depends. And yeah, just kind of go through the day. As long as the finals aren't having major issues, and they will pass just based on prior knowledge and everything, I normally save the final like reporting of all those at the end of my day when I get home. But yeah, I mean, that's pretty much the basic day. I mean, nothing crazy. It can get crazy, but typically not.
Yeah. So it sounds like in the kind of the Dash workflow, you're able to, the night before, see everything that you're scheduled for, and you kind of preload that information onto your phone, so when you go out into the field, that it's all ready to go and you can work through each inspection?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, the only thing I can't, or I could do on my phone, is use SketchUp, but I just don't do that because I'd rather just use an actual laptop for SketchUp to get the square footage and all that for duct class. But yeah, I mean, the phone's very nifty. a lot of the times, if my finals are set up correctly prior to getting there, I don't even touch my laptop at a final. And I just, because all the data reporting stuff and Ecotrope stuff I'll do at home on my laptop. So, yeah, I mean, definitely more of a handheld guy.
Yeah. So when you're going through using the Dash browser app, web app, you are entering and verifying that the field data that you see is the same or different than what is in the Dash app. And if it's normally it's like duct lots or blower door numbers and maybe some lighting changes and appliance changes, a few other things. But if there's like a really big change, you're like, oh, this is a big change. I better verify it outside of the app on your computer to see if it still passes.
Yeah, you can do that too.
Okay.
I've used Ekotrope like on my phone, and same thing. It's pretty user friendly, I'd say, using just a handheld device. At least iPhones wise. But I guess we don't use Android, so I wouldn't be able to vouch for that.
It's fine on Android. Yeah, it works well on mobile devices, or at the very least, the field-facing items we've specifically focused on to make as usable as possible on the phone. And that's, like I said, the daily schedule, and all the inspection screens, so that you can really just go straight from, the address that you put into your phone from Dash into the inspection, into the data entry, into Ecotrope as easily as possible.
Great. Yeah. So after you've completed all of your inspections, you've verified all the data that you need. Sounds like at the end of the day, then you have your kind of data processing things that you need to do. And could you kind of walk me through how you do that using the inspection sync?
Yeah, so typically I'll go from last to first of like whichever finals I had done that day, and I use the inspection sync. So I'll have all my dash data already entered from like when I was there, and then I will click I'm trying to remember this off memory right now, but I click on the bottom of the final page. It says create JSON. I'll save it, download that. Open up the Ecotrope and like my projects, upload the JSON file, and then it'll upload, exit out of that, go back to the job linked Ecotrope link, and then it'll have like the data, and I guess new entry
and new model,
new model.
Building design. That's the correct term.
Yeah.
New building design.
Go into that, pull up on-site data, verify that everything's matching up, which it hasn't perfectly matched up all the time. It definitely comes down to library entries not being like the same, or being multiple library entries that it's just picking the one that comes up first, which is like maybe an unverified version of it. Windows sometimes have had issues. Still, I think we're resolving that almost entirely at this point. But yeah, it's mainly just double checking my work at this point when I'm going actually into like the inspection with report data.
Yeah. And so like that library issue that you just talked about where it doesn't exactly always match up, in Dash, you are selecting a particular library component in the Dash app saying, this is a grade 1 2x4 R13 something, which is a library component that's in Ecotrope that is also listed in Dash, right?
Somewhat. We don't have like a library of components in the same way that Ecotrope does. We do have certain things that you can keep in a library, like our insulation section. That does not currently go through inspection sync. However, a lot of that, largely because of these library consistencies that we're speaking about. But really, it's like if you type in the model number of a furnace or any other mechanical system in Dash, that then goes into Ecotrope and it matches exactly a model number that is in Ecotrope, that is in your Ecotrope library, then you're good to go. The times that we've run into issues tend to be, a lot of it is case sensitivity. You do have to have the case correct, like matching in both places, in Dash and Ecotrope. Obviously, you can just say, to your modeling team, like, hey, put all the model numbers in caps, all caps, in both places, and everyone knows to always use all caps, and it's fine. So going forward, we're set. But obviously, integrating this into our old process, our Ekotrope library was extensive before, and it's like, you know, it's like spring cleaning. It's like cleaning up the house before guests come over. It's like we needed a reason to clean that up, and it had gotten way out of control, and we're getting it under control. So it's one of those things that's getting more efficient the more we use it and find those places that need to be fixed, those library components that need to be fixed. But yes, to answer the questions, I see Ben and Rick both asked about Ecotrope library and Dash stuff. And basically, yes, you need to have, and correct me if I'm wrong, but you need to have the Ecotrope, you need to have the components that you're bringing through inspection sync already existing in your Ecotrope library. Otherwise, it'll cause an error and not fill in the data in Ecotrope. Is that correct? When you get an error of like,
yeah, it'll just keep whatever it was beforehand, so it won't change anything.
It'll change. It'll keep what was in the template.
Yeah.
So
whatever's the template is what stays.
Yeah. So let me kind of do a little bit of an explainer on a couple of these different things. So there's Ekotrope has the library concept, and you have these components in that, which are mechanical systems or building envelope components. And there are two ways that you can edit those things using inspection sync. The first way for building envelope components is you can send the exact installation values and grade in inspection sync to the energy model. And if you say wall number 1, the exterior walls are the existing library that was in there from the get-go is an R13 wall, cavity insulation, 2x4 studs, and no continuous insulation. You can tell that component to add continuous insulation, or you could say it's actually R15, or you could say it's actually grade 1, 2, or 3, or any combination of that. And inspection sync will actually update that component with that information. It won't update the actual library entry. It'll just update the version of it that is in that energy model, and it will rename it as well to say, hey, this is updated from inspection data. And that gives your QA team, gives your, whoever's reviewing these files, if there's a review, hey, there's an update here, maybe you want to pay attention to that. The other way that it could update things is you could actually specify the name of the library component that you want to use in that wall entry. So if you have those library components in your inspection app, you could say, update this, and Ekotrope will search for that, and if we find it, there could be typos or whatnot, we'll find it and we'll update that. So that's generally building envelope. The other item is mechanical systems. Mechanical systems have been really difficult to nail down. And that's because of the way that our industry generally records this information. There's a whole bunch of us that just take a photo, and then somebody in the office looks at the photo and writes down the model number and finds that in the energy model or in the library. Other folks write down the model number in the field and then send it and look it up. In the library, the HRI directory or what have you. So the way that we've implemented this is that in the inspection app, like Dash, the field inspector will record the model number, type it in, and when that's transmitted to Ekotrope, we'll search your library of mechanical system for a mechanical system that has a similar model number. And if we find one that's a match, we will replace it. If we don't find one that's a match, we will tell you that there wasn't a match in an email after the submission, so you can know that it wasn't updated. That matching algorithm has some special capabilities in it as well that are probably better described in like a really detailed webinar description of that, but it is somewhat sophisticated there. So Sam, at the end of the day, you are inputting this data. compared to what you were doing before, where you're transcribing the data, to now when you're uploading the inspection sync, what is the end of your day like? Are you inspecting more homes because of it? Do you have more free time at the end of the day? Kind of how much time savings? What is the end of your day like today?
It's definitely freed up some more free time. It's nothing astronomical time saving wise. Like I believe like 5 to 25 minutes was a very fair statement in the one slide. I think it'll be more once once you don't have to double check everything all the time. Once it's because like the first page of Ecotrope, I don't even look at now because I know for a fact that's being transferred over correctly. And now you can also look at your emails and see exactly what you need to look at, like look for in terms of that. But yeah, like to answer the question, yeah, it's saving me like I'd say like 10 minutes per job at the moment, 5 to 10 probably. But yeah, it just gives me a little bit more free time, check Teams, send out important emails if someone's been asking a question or something like that. But yeah.
Good. And you mentioned, so you're saving a little bit of time here and there. Are there any other kind of features, any other functionality that Inspection Sync doesn't have that you wish it did have, that would like really be the silver bullet of the data entry process?
Oh, 100%. It would be the envelope section for Ecotrope. That is still all manual for us because it comes from SketchUp and the installation values that we do.
In Dash.
Yeah, in Dash. So that would just be something where you'd almost have to take data from SketchUp, put it into Dash, but then that's going to have to transfer over, and it'd just be kind of a pain. But if maybe one day that could happen, that'd be amazing. But that's the biggest one for me is that whole envelope section is still all manual, going from SketchUp for the area and perimeters of the whole plan, and then you have to get your installation values as well. So with framing and all that, but yeah, I don't know. That's what, in my opinion, would be the biggest one.
Absolutely.
Yeah, is that on the plan review side or the field inspection side?
Field side.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and along that note, I've seen a couple questions scroll by of if we support importing an Ecotrope library into Dash. We don't currently. And again, we don't really have a component library in Dash because we're not a modeling software. It's really just for collecting data out in the field. We do have installation sections that you set up with drop downs. You select the installation type, the grade that it is installed as, and etc. But yes, as Sam's sort of speaking to currently, between the way that works within Dash and the entries that are set up in there currently, there's not enough compatibility there to push it through to InSync at this time.
That'd be tough.
And yeah, when it comes to like model numbers and stuff for mechanical systems, like that is something that you're typing into Dash, Sam, every time that you see one out in the field. We don't have like a library of mechanical systems to select from at this time. So not to say that, anything's possible in the future. I don't want to just say never ever, but we are currently planning on implementing any sort of integrating an Ecotrope library directly into Dash. Yes, just to clear that.
Sam, there's a question here as well about kind of the total time it takes for an inspection plus the data entry. I think you said previously you think that the time savings is in that 5 to 20 minute range for the data entry part of that. Is there any added time because you have to go back and review that the inspection sync data file did transfer things correctly, or do you factor that into the total time savings?
I'd say factor that in. I mean, you're not spending like as Jackson showed, like if you get that green thing, you're pretty much good to go.
The green pop-up window.
Green pop-up, yeah.
When you import the JSON file to Ekotrope. Yeah,
The green
no,
thing.
you're good.
But yeah, that sometimes will be yellow, and you'll get an email that says what the issues are exactly, and you can read into that. And then you'll also, I've gotten one before where it's just red, and that's just didn't transfer correctly at all. If that happens, I just kind of do it manually, but I haven't got one of those in a while.
That was, yeah, there were
Custom at
some,
home too.
no, yeah, there were some early, I don't think we're getting those as much. That's
Okay,
like a
that's
critical error. And in the past, I think that's been, that's been sorted out at this point.
Yeah, but
So,
I definitely do consider like the checking over as part of the time that I would have been putting in the data that wasn't transferred over as well. It's definitely a process change though from what we're used to. So I think like the whole change, I mean, it's not a big change. Once you're used to it, I'd say it's just as fast, if not quicker, than the old way that we used to do it in terms of like the manual entry. But yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, in terms of process change, have there been other kind of unintended changes that were unexpected with adopting kind of data integration with Inspection Sync?
sorry, repeat the question. I was reading other questions.
Say that again.
Sorry.
Too many questions coming through the chat. I was.
Have you had any other changes that were not anticipated that came around because you started using this integration? Has it changed like your QA process or your RFI process now that you have the Inspection Sync?
Yeah, talk about merge process.
Our RFI process definitely changed. I guess I can't really speak too into detail because I don't do that, but I know the whole RFI process changed with our guy Mark Lane, who does the QAs for our, not really QA, but file review.
Submits, file review and submittal for RFI ratings.
But I think that made it a lot easier because when they create their Ecotrope stuff, it creates like a whole new design that they can select, and then Mark does the same thing with the in-sync process, and he has his own design as well. So it's like, I think that helps a lot. I think.
So he called it an attitude change.
Yeah.
Yes. Mark's comment to us was not only, he said the time savings, kind of like what Sam was saying right now, is still, realistically probably like 5 minutes, maybe 10 minutes. But he did call it an attitude changer, as in I don't have to copy, every single window value over myself.
That window is such a nice feature.
Yes, I think that has been a really big change specifically for our RFI person who's in charge of processing all of those involved.
Gotcha. So the RFI, the people that oversee the RFIs are now, super happy because it's their job's a little bit easier and not as, just cross-eyed looking at two different screens and tracking data.
Yeah, since he was the one filling out far more, Ecotrope models than anyone else on a day-to-day basis, just based on his job. And he's definitely feeling the biggest improvements, I'd say.
I think so.
So,
Gotcha. Well, I'm going to dive into some of these questions here. I think we've done some answering here, but let's
I just wanted to mention, just before we get into in-sync specific questions, I noticed a couple of questions about Dash being browser-based. What happens when there's no internet service or data service out where you were inspecting? So as Sam kind of was talking about, in the morning, he is pulling open his schedule and sort of, do you open all of your jobs like in tabs, or do you open just like the one you're going to next? Basically, you can open the job if especially you're going to a subdivision that has no internet. You pull it open. Yes, he'll open it at home or before he drives over when he has a stable connection. Go to the site, fill out dash as you would normally, but you wouldn't want to click the save button or click on the inspection sync button, anything that refreshes the page. You input your data, leave the tab open, move on with your day, and the next time you have data or Wi-Fi or whatever, you can save your dash data and do all of those internet functions. So there are, worst case scenarios where you try to save and you get a no service window. Usually in those situations, if you hit the back button immediately on your browser, it goes back and all of your data is still there because it's saved locally in your browser's memory.
Then you wait for internet.
And then yes, as Sam said, then you know not to press that button again and wait for the internet.
Jackson and Sam, could you talk a little bit about how Dash and Inspection Sync works with multifamily homes?
Yes, absolutely. Yes, thank you, Steve. I saw our field manager, Steve Eagleberger, there is making a good point, which is, in multifamily applications where you're processing lots of jobs at once, obviously, this is going to be a particularly useful feature. Dash has a large variety of multifamily friendly features like creating jobs in mass using a spreadsheet. So you can just put in one address per line on an Excel spreadsheet, and that'll create each job. You can set up sampling groups and record, which one is the tested unit. You can copy inspections from that tested unit into the non-tested units so that you only have to fill it out in one place and then copy it to all the other inspections. And then at the end, you can collect all of those inspections for all of the units into a singular report that looks a lot like the report I showed on there, just from multiple addresses at a time. And so in that case, as I was going through my day and filling out my multifamily inspections, I would also be, or copying them over, I would also be downloading all of the JSONs for each multifamily unit that is a rated unit, and then uploading those all in bulk at the end of the day at the same time as I'm probably sending out those reports that have every unit in them, and putting time in for all of those at once. That's another multifamily feature we have. So it integrates well into our existing processes of multifamily, which is trying to give users the ability to edit and add and manipulate data across, as many jobs as they need to at one time. David, we lost your audio.
He's muted.
There's a couple, thanks for that. There's a couple questions here about mechanical systems again. So this is admittedly a challenge. So first off, in the rating world, we have to have the AHRI documentation for the mechanical systems. And then in Ekotrope, we have the mechanical library where you can add specific pieces of equipment. And the way that, I think most people are using Ekotrope is building a mechanical component in Ekotrope for a specific combination of, or a specific representation of an AHRI certificate. So it's like that, the specific combination of indoor, outdoor, and furnace units there. And that's actually how Inspection Sync works best. Because with the way that Inspection Sync search, and it only searches the components in your library, it doesn't search it outside of your library, it's just things there. And the way that it does that is you specify a model number, and we will search 5 different places for that model number. There's 3 model number fields in that mechanical component, and it's going to look there first. Then it's also going to look in the name and description field of the component. So it's going to search for those 3 places. The one benefit for Inspection Sync is in those model number fields, we also support some special characters that you might see on your AHRI certificate. So if you have seen one of those certificates, there's stars and there's parentheses that mean specific things. And if you type in a model number that you see in the field, it will rarely match one-to-one to the model number that's on an AHRI certificate because of those stars and those parentheses and whatnot. But the inspection sync search function knows what those stars and what those parentheses mean. So we will look and allow multiple model numbers to match to that model number string as stars because those things have specific meaning. And that makes the search a little bit better than just a straight text search. The next question about this is, has there been any talk about, just having AHRI data in Ekotrope? And this person is specifically asking about having an API connection with the AHRI directory. Believe me, I've called everybody AHRI to try and figure out who's in charge to try and persuade them to have an API. As far as I can tell, they don't have any interest in that. They're actually a very large company that has very, very high dues for HVAC manufacturers to have their stuff listed there. And so I don't think there's much of a financial incentive, unfortunately, to have them add an API. But I'm all ears for figuring out how to make that happen. But unfortunately, we haven't been able to get their attention yet. Another question here was kind of what does it take to get Dash up and running if you're a new customer for Dash? And then following that, can Dash be used for energy code inspections and sending just energy code data to Ekotrope for performance or UA compliance?
So yes. Yes and yes. Yes, we do use Dash and Ekotrope for all of our inspections, including code and UA, prescriptive, non-HERS work. Definitely works that. Energy Star lead, we've got compatibility with all of that. And then as far as getting a new site going, typically it works as we'll have a one-on-one demo where I show you all of the software and what it does. If you are interested and go forward with our contract, then we will ask what existing systems of data tracking you have, whether it's like spreadsheets, QuickBooks data, anything that could be exported in a spreadsheet format is usually the easiest for us to work with. And we're pretty flexible. Our programmer, Jennifer, is a true wizard and an expert when it comes to working with data in whatever form it can be delivered as. And so we'll do our best to take whatever you have currently and import it into Dash so that you have, at the very least, clients and jobs and all of your existing work ready to go so you can start picking that up in Dash.
Great. And I assume Energy Star kind of inspections work well as well?
Yes. We do a lot of Energy Star. I think I saw someone ask about Energy Star checklists. We do have that in Dash. It's a copy of the Energy Star RFC and RDC checklists. We have support for both. And it's mapped out so that when you fill out the question in Dash that corresponds to one of the questions in the Ecotrope checklist, it will put a checkbox on the online version of the checklist that we have in Dash. Then that can be saved as a PDF and sent to the builder in the same way that that individual inspection report that I showed for the house is.
Very good. I think that rounds up almost all the questions we had. And so I'm going to share my screen here once again. And I want to thank everybody for attending here. And we will send out a recording for this webinar to everybody. And I think we'll probably, there's a few kind of really specific questions in this chat that I think will be best answered, via email in like a very kind of nitty-gritty way. But I wanted to finish with kind of what we're talking about for kind of what costs generally look like for these tools too. The kind of a distinction that needs to be made is, EnergyLogic provides Dash, and there's a data cost structure associated with that based on how much usage and how big of a company you are, I believe. And then Inspection Sync is an add-on to your Ekotrope account as well. And so there's some work that needs to be sorted out there as well, but generally it's that's the structure there. And if EnergyLogic wants to add any more kind of based on that, we can.
I do want to mention that we're still determining our pricing for the Inspection Sync add-on to Dash. Because of the complexity that I've talked about a lot here, it is going to be something that we basically have to customize and tweak and implement on a site-by-site basis. So there is an additional cost associated with that, but we're still plotting that out. And like I said previously, we're just rounding our first month of just us, EnergyLogic, using these features out in the field. And so we still have a few more months at least of testing and tweaking and developing before we would be offering it to everyone. So we'll definitely be shouting it to the rafters when it's out. So definitely, if you're interested, please email me there. I also just dropped a link into the chat that takes you to our Dash page on our website. There's a button at the bottom to get in touch with us for one of those one-on-one demos that I mentioned. So if anyone's interested in seeing more of Dash, you can either just shoot me an email directly or reach out on the website there.
All right, yeah, thank you very much.
I think that's, Thank you.
Thanks for attending. And if you have any questions, please reach out to either Jackson or myself, and we'll be able to help you out in any way you need with respect to Dash or Ekotrope and Inspection Sync.
Absolutely. Well, thank you, David. Thank you, Sarah. Thank you, everyone, for joining. And all the great questions.
Appreciate it.
All right.
Thank you. Have a nice day, everybody.